Hi, nice to meet you. Where are you joining me from?
I'm from Albuquerque. Are you from Colorado?
Yeah, we're neighbors.
Where are you? Where in Colorado?
I'm in Aurora.
You're in Aurora. Awesome. My daughter's in Denver.
Oh, okay. Oh, nice. So you get to
Yeah,
come here and visit?
I do. I'll be there for Christmas. I'm excited. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Christmas in Colorado is nice.
Yeah, Christmas is nice. Yeah. Or do you like Colorado? Do you like it there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've been here for about 40 years now. So it's basically home. And my
Okay.
kids are all deeply rooted Colorado. So I won't be going back to New Orleans anytime soon, but I do feel like my soul belongs there.
Do you?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's really interesting. My son just got back from like a week trip, just a vacation to New Orleans.
Oh, yeah.
And I just listened to part of your podcast on the tarot card reader.
Yeah.
Also, you do such a great job. Let me just tell you, I am so impressed. You have a great conversational, like presence.
Thank you.
You
Thank you.
just do. It's really good. It's really good, Shanna. Yeah. So I listened to part of that. I was thinking because my son said, "Hey, mom, when I go to New Orleans, I'm going to find the seediest tarot card reader and get."
Yeah, I actually have quite the lineage in Louisiana this morning when I was reading over your stuff and some of the work that you do. Like a lot of the retraining, a lot of the things that I had to kind of face had to do with my ancestry and found out I was nothing what I thought it was. I mean, from every direction, there was this denial of culture.
Right, right. We're such a beautiful melting pot. But I do like clearing those blocks that are trauma blocks, emotional blocks that get stuck in the brain and the soul. And then
Mhm.
create, especially business owners and entrepreneurs. When they get stuck, it's usually because there's something coming up that needs to be cleared.
Yeah.
It's a block, and we have to clear the block. And then reboot. We have to reboot and rewire the brain. So I use sort of NLP questions to walk like a goal down. So,
Hmm.
like, I know we can achieve anything we want. It's just a
Yeah.
matter of deciding what that is
And believing that you can
and
do it.
believing you can do it. So it's also
Yeah.
about releasing all those patterns when you were kids about not
Yes.
feeling good enough or being invalidated or rejection or any of that or abandonment. It's releasing those trauma patterns and then rebooting the brain and the whole body, mind, spirit with, I
Yeah.
call it the new program, how you want to show up.
Oh, yes. You do have to make a new program.
Yes.
We're so multidimensional, so there's so many layers to what you do.
Yeah,
So many.
absolutely. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. We
Yeah.
have to do
It's
it
so
in layers. That's that, we are multidimensional. So what I found too, Shanna, is, when I first started this work, I just worked on the physical body,
yep.
you know.
Me too.
I was trained as a naturopath. I got sick. So the first thing, I didn't become a naturopath till after I got sick and figured out a bunch of stuff. And then I went back to school and did that. But what I realized was we're not just physical beings. And so just changing your diet, exercising, taking supplements, that's all important. It's foundational for longevity, for health, for you to really be who you are. But it's
Yeah.
clearing all the trauma, it's the emotions, it's the spiritual body we have to work on. So I kind of blend like science, spirituality, and you could call it metaphysical, but it's not. It's more energetic.
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah. I too, at the beginning of I was a massage therapist. So, it was all about the body. And I realized I was rubbing people's stress. I was like, this dude is never, ever letting this trigger point go. Even if I got rid of it, he'd come back and he'd still have it. I'm like, what is going on? And then I asked him one time, well, when did this start? And it started when, years ago when he was going through a divorce. Oh,
Uh-huh.
okay, now this makes sense.
Right.
It's living
Right.
in your muscles.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
hold that energy there. And yet what I found too is we have to clear it in the field though first.
Okay.
And your energetic field goes all the way out to the stars or the sun. You have a huge energy field. And you can have a little song sort of playing even 2,000 miles out from your body that has
Mhm.
to do with ancestral trauma. And if we
Mhm.
don't clear it, it's still going to affect you physically. Or if, like,
Ah,
I'm working with someone and they have shoulder pain, I will actually show them with kinesiology or muscle testing that the pain is not in their shoulder.
Amazing.
Right. So some of you may already know this. Your chiropractor might be using some of this with you, or, a kinesiologist or a natural health professional that you've gone to. But you can test the strength of a muscle. So they usually have you put your arm out and gently push down on it and say something like, "My name is Louise," and it would stay strong. And if I say, "My name is George," it would go a little weaker, indicating that, we're that's not you, right? That's a no. That's not who you are. Then you can get a yes and a no. So a yes and a no. And so I will show it for pain in the body. So if someone has pain in their shoulder and we say, "Hey, let's see if the pain is there." And I say, "The pain is here." And it's not. So they're holding their shoulder. Then we have them put their hand out maybe 5 or 6 inches from their shoulder where that pain is. And we say the pain is here, hold. And the arm stays strong, indicating, yes, it is. It's in the field. Then I'll have them put it all the way out, like 2 feet from their body. The pain is here, hold. And the pain is 2 feet from their body. So it sort of demonstrates that your pain starts in the energy field. And if we don't clear it there first, you can put Traumeel, essential oil, whatever you want on that pain, and it isn't going to go away all the way. It's going to help a little, but it isn't going to change it. So then I do some codes. So I learned these amazing codes for success that clear the energetic pattern 7 generations back and 7 forward. And so I will use some codes to clear all that. And then they'll look at me funny and they'll be like, "I feel better. Like, what did you just do?" Right.
Yeah.
So it's sort of a great little proof that we're energy beings and that you have an energy field and that we have to look at it multidimensionally.
Yeah. One of my favorite things to do with clients or even friends, they get sick of me sometimes. They'll call me for advice and I'm like, close your eyes. Because I just want them to find the answers within, that discernment exercise, like asking your body and sensing, like, is this a yes or no? Like feeling it in your solar plexus, and listening. Does it feel right in your body? Like when you say it, do you tense up all over or do you relax? And it feels like, yes.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. Because the answers are within.
Mm-hmm. I know.
It's
I
the
know. It's
inner
so
work
good.
that reflects in the outer work.
It is true. Yes. I need to constantly remember that too, because I still have, some of the voices that I've identified and put in the corner, but it still, tries to come in.
And I think we can get that gone. I do.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. I do
Yeah.
it every day.
I mean, I think it gets less and less, but
Yeah.
especially during not like an everyday, but like when something like I remember when Mandy, my co-host, she decided in 2023 for 2023 that she was no longer gonna be my co-host, which she is my other half, and we have so much fun together. And I was like, how will I ever do this by myself? Without her. And that's the kind of stuff I was hearing in that moment. And I was like, I can't do it by myself. I'll fail at this. I need her and all of these things. And it was like a whole day. And do you know, those thoughts made me so sick. I had a sickness that came in out of nowhere. I mean, I was so sick. And then when I was laying in bed that next morning, I said, no, I have to pull myself out of this. I can do this. And all of a sudden my symptoms went away and it was like I never was sick.
Good for you. Yeah, good for you. But you're absolutely right, Shanna. Our physical body takes on those emotions and it can make us sick. And particularly in things like autoimmune diseases, I had like 3 diagnoses, 3 labels. They didn't know what was wrong with me way back to clearing the trauma.
So, I mean, you probably see autoimmune disease quite often because I also was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. I had a list that was so long. I mean, and they were all very real symptoms. They were random and it was a lot. I remember my doctor looked at me and said, we're not going to be able to get through all of that list, but I think you have fibromyalgia. So here's your bag of drugs and you're good. I was ready to
Right.
accept that diagnosis for the rest of my life with my little bag of drugs.
Right. I know. I know. I do see that all the time. And and it's younger and younger people are getting autoimmune diseases.
Mm,
It's our diet. It's our food, it's the chemicals in our water and in the air. It's all of it. I had fibromyalgia too, or at least that was the diagnosis. But they said
yeah.
fibromyalgia, MS, chronic fatigue, lupus, we don't know what's wrong with you, kind of
Mhm.
thing. And I didn't realize back then that I was pretty intuitive. I
Yeah.
teach people how to use my system now and train coaches in it. And they end up being more intuitive, like super highly intuitive. But I didn't know that I was intuitive back then. I actually looked in the phone book and found a orthomolecular doctor that finally helped me. They
What
didn't
the
have
heck is
functional
that?
medicine back then. I know they didn't have, and orthomolecular just means knowing how to use nutrition and like
Yeah.
vitamins and supplements. So he even had me make like tryptophan capsules. He ordered this white powder from Germany. I think that's when there
Whoa.
was a ban on it. And so I had to make my own capsules. This is actually a good story. And so I remember being in our like family room. There's a big patio door that opened to the backyard. And I have two bowls with two like a TV tray, and I've got the white capsules, the little capsules in here and the white powder in the other. And I'm putting it
You
together
look
and
like a
probably
drug
watching TV
dealer.
while I'm doing, and my neighbor knocks on the door and I'm like, I gotta run, I gotta take this in the kitchen real quick. Um, yeah,
Wow. And
yeah,
so did that help you?
it did. Taking the vitamins and supplements did, but they helped me a little bit. But I remember he said to me, he said, how are you walking around on the planet? Like, you're not absorbing anything you're eating. Like, I had, low protein, amino acids. I wasn't getting any nutrition from even though I was eating food. And I said,
Yeah.
my son was born. I've got to take care of him. So, spirit literally carried me during that time.
Yeah. And then then spirit throws you pain to say, okay, it's time to deal with this.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But that was the very, very beginning. And, again, I was just working on my physical body, trying to get healthier.
Wow. Yeah, I know. It seems like usually there's something that kind of throws you into this. And mine did begin with the pain of fibromyalgia. And then I was on so many drugs. The thing was, is that I was told my whole life I had anxiety, so this became like Shanna has anxiety. And then when something bad would happen, I mean, that was my go-to, right? I have anxiety. And my dad died, and my best friend died. I mean, so many bad things were happening around the time I got the fibromyalgia diagnosis.
Oh, okay.
So even now
Mhm.
when I go to the doctor, I'm like, you still have the fibromyalgia on my chart. I was just letting you know, like, I don't think that was like a permanent thing. I think I was really stressed. I had 4 kids at the time, 2 in high school, a newborn, a child with, on the spectrum. I'm like, and my dad died, all these things were happening. Like everything in my world was flipped out, especially in my body.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So it is the stress. Stress causes disease.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. And
Yeah.
speaking of my dad dying, I mean, he never had a tool in his life when it came to, he didn't have any breath work. He didn't breathe. He didn't know how to relax. He worked himself to death. And in the end, his heart, I mean, he was on a heart transplant list and he just didn't get one and he died in the hospital waiting. But,
I'm
that really
sorry.
was a very profound moment for me because I was like, I don't want to be that. But I see that I do have a lot of characteristics of my dad. I'm a workhorse. I'm I'm go, 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 go.
Mhm.
And I really was go, go, go before. But now, now I almost have to push myself to go.
Yeah, you know what? But those patterns can be cleared too, Shanna.
Yeah.
So like when you, and I'm so sorry about your dad. And when I think about that, I think about how everyone has heart wounds and we've
Mhm.
got to clear the heart wounds. And so when we go to that place where we clear that, it
Mhm.
allows you and generations, your kids, generations after you, to not carry that forward. We may want to do like a little demo. I'm thinking of, the system that I
Yeah.
created is the BRAIN system. And BRAIN is
Mhm.
an acronym that stands for B is body. That's what you and I
Mhm.
are talking about, getting
Yeah.
our body healthy, right? But the R is releasing, and that's releasing
Mm.
emotional baggage, mental chatter, the trauma that got stuck in the spaces of the brain. Okay. And then
Mhm.
A is aligned with spirit, because spirit's always a part of healing anything, healing yourself, your business, your relationships. It's always a part of everything. And then I is integrate. So it's integrating your frequencies to your brain frequencies to your soul's true purpose. So
Oh,
I also
wow.
find that people who don't have a purpose have a little bit difficult healing because that's like they don't have that
Mm.
motivation. And then
Oh,
N is the
yeah,
new
I see that.
program. And a new program is what we talked about a little earlier about rebooting and
Mhm.
rewiring your brain, your energetic field, your whole body being for success. And when you do all those steps together, it literally sticks. But I'll show you a visual. I often find is like our trauma gets stuck in those spaces of the brain, and we've got to clear it out. And so the spaces in your brain are your spiritual brain. And the masters in China teach us that we heal in the spaces. What happens? The spaces are your soul body. So this is an axon and a dendrite. So it's a picture of like a nerve ending. Between all your nerves is a synapse. It's a space.
Mhm.
Okay. And we heal in the spaces. Well, the picture shows these little red beads that are supposed to like jump that space. That's serotonin. So that's the happiness hormone.
Mhm.
So when we're depressed and we don't feel good or whatever, we're probably lacking serotonin. And here's what happens then. Then you go to the doctor and they give you a serotonin uptaker, Prozac or a generic type of depression medication. And yet, what I have found is if we clear these spaces of the trauma and the emotions, the serotonin can now leap that synapse and you don't need that medication anymore. Now, I need
Mm.
to say here, I'm not telling you to stop your medication,
Right.
right? You don't want to just do that, but I just want you to know it's possible and that it's the inner work and the inner journey that will help you, be able to be eventually wean off that medication. I find that really what we're working on is fear, faith, and worry and trust, and they're opposite,
Yeah.
right? So when we get to that place of not feeling safe, like when you got sick because of all that stress that was happening, we were in fear. And
Mhm.
really the goal is to stay in faith. And so it's like, how quickly can you help yourself get back to faith? And you did it. You're very strong. So this is the brain system that I described. So it's 5 steps and it really does help you.
Mhm.
It's body, release, align with spirit, integrate, and put in the new program. It helps things stick. I was super sick, like dying, like on oxygen. Like
Oh my God.
it took me 16 years to heal, and that's how I learned all this. I don't actually work with a whole lot of health issues now. I mean, I work with some, but mostly I'm teaching entrepreneurs how to help themselves grow their business and do the inner work. And when we do that, this is what happens. So this is Lana. She had lost her husband, a lot of grief, and this is her about 4 months later. And
Mm.
she said to me, she said, I don't have those sad eyes anymore. It's like the grief
Oh.
is gone. And then she was so excited. She said, guess what? I'm learning to sail. This was McKenna. She had a lot of abuse. This was at an in-person event that I did prior to probably 2018, I'm thinking. I didn't know how much abuse she had when she came to the stage. I mean, she was pretty beat up verbally and physically by her father. And so this is her before and this is her after. And that sticks. So the difference is this isn't just like, a quick little energy session where you're just going to feel better for like the next day, right?
Mhm.
It sticks. And so that's what I love about working with the brain system is it's truly transformational.
I love that so much. I love seeing the people,
I do too.
how
It gets me
you could
high.
just,
It gets me excited.
oh my
Yeah.
God. So I love that you have really turned your pain into purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In college, I did a program where we spent like a whole summer in Peoria, Illinois. It was like social work. I mean, it was like dealing with I was working with
Oh,
the heroin addicts. I was working at the DWI clinic. I worked at
yeah.
Peoria Association for Retarded Citizens. And there was a gentleman in that group. There was only one man in that group. The rest of us were women. And he was very, very, very Christian. And he used
Mhm.
to quote the Bible all the time. But I would look at him and I like to argue with him actually, Shanna, because I would point out that he wasn't in integrity. He wasn't acting it. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
this is back in my 20s, right? So I really thought, even though I was raised, with religion, I really didn't believe it, or I didn't
Yeah.
believe it. And so when I got that sick, that's what turned it around. Yeah, that's when I started reading the Bible. That's when it made sense to me. That's when I prayed more. That's when I was like, okay, God, you got to help me because I just want to be a mom to my kids. So that
Mhm.
was my first why. And then as I got healthier, my next why was how many people can I help now?
Mm. So your
Yeah.
children, how old were they when you were sick like that?
They were like 5 and 3.
Little tinies.
They were little kids. And yet, you know what? We had fun. And I would always looked at the positive. I'd be like, okay, well, God has a plan for this. So, I would be the workaholic and probably
Mhm.
be working while I'm raising them. And
Mhm.
God got me sick so I could be home with them and be there. And we had fun. When I had good days, we were, and then we moved to Taos. So I became a pesticide activist back then. Those pesticides would put me on that oxygen tank. So when they were spraying for mosquitoes in my neighborhood, I'd get really sick. And I also watched my kids not feel so good and other people in our neighborhood. I worked with the mayor to sue the state of Illinois and we won. Yeah, I knew the woman June Larson, who lobbied Washington, D.C. for the little signs that you put in the lawns, that
Mhm.
herbicide was put on the lawns. Her daughter, the reason she became such an advocate is her daughter died from mosquito abatement at a Girl Scout camp.
Oh
So
my
so I
God.
started researching all about pesticides, herbicides, glyphosate. So I knew about glyphosate before there were ever lawsuits. I'm kind of shy. I became a big mouth. I was like, okay, we had 14 articles in the
Good.
paper. I was like taking my oxygen tank to board meetings and speaking. I was like, you can't kill the kids like this. Stop it. So,
And you've completely healed. You're not carrying around oxygen.
oh, it took me 16 years. Then I moved to Taos, New Mexico to be in the mountains and get away from all those pesticides. So
Yeah.
I did leave. I was like, okay,
So
I'm
you
done.
removed
Yeah.
yourself from that environment. Okay,
Yeah.
so you're gonna think that I mean, I think this is outrageous, and you have a daughter here, so I don't know if she's aware. But last year, Polis had said he wanted all of the elementary schools and middle schools and high schools tested for lead in the
Okay.
water.
Okay.
And my daughter's school had 18 different drinking faucets that had lead, high levels of lead. And so they, had a certain amount of time to fix them, which they did. But, then I'm thinking, well, what are the signs of lead poison for children? Right. I had to look that up. No one gave us that.
Uh-huh.
And, there have been some time that I have a son who's on the spectrum. I have a daughter who has ADHD. I have ADHD. Lots of, 1 in 36 children are on the spectrum. And I
Yes.
think maybe even that's low because when you look at a classroom, you could question that many of them are falling under, this, either whether ADHD or the spectrum or some sort of neurodivergent, issue going on. And
Yes.
so you look at the environment. Well, first I think people want to blame the genetics, and then they look at the environment, which I think that if you look at just history, and what's happened with the processing of foods and all of the things that we
Mhm.
don't even know we're living with, drinking, breathing, this could be why we have so many children that are showing up with these disorders.
You're absolutely right. My first career was special education. I was a special ed teacher. And then when
Wow.
I started learning all about natural health for my own healing, I started studying naturopathy and I became a naturopathic doctor. At the same time, I got a biofeedback program, and I was a dyslexic therapist. So I saw a lot of those autistic and dyslexic kids,
Mm.
in my practice. And you're absolutely right. What I'd have to detox was lead. And there's a whole herbal little kit that I use put together by the Grandmother of Natural Health that detoxes the lead. I mean, could be mercury too, could be other heavy metals just in our environment.
There's a huge thing out here about the Aurora water. And here's the thing, I don't even know much about it because they've hid this. You have to dig for
You
this
have to dig.
information.
Yes.
Really, you have to. And then
Yes.
I did some research on the quality of the water and this and that. And I don't know if they keep on moving up the standard or moving down the standard, I should say, for it to
Mhm.
fit into some sort of legal limits of drinking water. But there's no, I mean, the stuff that's in it, other people have done studies who are not part of the state, and they're like, listen, none of these things are okay. All of these are cancer agents, all of them. Like, I live in a district that has new schools. So it was really just the older schools that were affected,
Okay.
which makes sense because I guess it's the rust in the piping and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it blew me away. It blew me away because many people didn't even know because they don't read their emails that this was going on. It wasn't
Right.
really on the news.
Yeah, you're right. There is kind of like a little, but again, that's our world. They say that babies are born with lead in them from the mom.
Yeah, I
Like there's
know.
something
Of
like
course.
42 chemicals in the umbilical cord and the placenta that they're finding. And so we can't, unless you like move to some island and put a spacesuit
I
on,
know. I can't get away with
you know, so we have to figure out how to take the right antioxidants, have a clean home, so I would definitely say, don't use cleaning products in your home that are toxic, use natural
Yeah.
things, use natural laundry detergent,
I'm trying
don't use
to.
pesticides and herbicides. You can use diatomaceous earth, which is like a white powder sold in like garden shops. And so it's a white powder. And you can even there's a food grade diatomaceous earth that you can use. They use it in big bins of beans and stuff. So,
Yeah.
like if
Oh,
they were
wow.
at the school, like the cafeterias and stuff, or flowers. So you can even add it if it's food grade. People use it to detox lead and
Wow.
detox heavy
Okay.
metals. But I sprinkle diatomaceous earth around my property when I get those little ants.
Yeah. And it
Yeah.
works.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
works fine.
Yeah.
And
I try to be conscious because I have animals, because I have two dogs. So, I'm always, thinking about that. And here's the thing, we need to become more conscious about, what we're purchasing. And I try. I've been lucky to have people like you bring stuff like this to my awareness. I mean, I had someone who was saying we need to choose better about the clothes that we're wearing, the bras that we're wearing, all of these things could be poisoning you. And it could be a big part of why you're having sicknesses that won't go away and allergies.
yes, yes. Yeah, allergies are really big. Allergies are really just, Dr. Hamer did a lot of really cool work with trauma. And so I think
Mhm.
about his work when I'm clearing the brain. Might want to do a little demo with you on this, but
Yeah.
yeah, it'd be fun. It would be fun. The trauma gets stuck in the space of the brain. What he figured out was clearing trauma helped clear cancer. He got
Yeah.
testicular cancer 3 months after his son was shot and died. And so his hypothesis was, and he was a doctor that was working with cancer in Germany. And he said, it must be the trauma that caused this. I was healthy before. Why did I get this?
Mhm.
So he started working on clearing trauma, and he put whole charts together. He would start to see similarities with certain cancers, and he called it the it stinks moment. And how it relates to allergies is when you have like a little trauma, like an it stinks moment. So let's just say you're driving through the hayfield somewhere in Kansas and you're on vacation and something happens, like the car breaks down, and now you got hay fever and you're allergic to that pollen.
Mhm.
And you were never allergic before, right? Because
Right.
of the trauma of what just happened there. So trauma can cause illness. And so he found that it would cause certain types of cancers, like esophageal cancer was not being able to swallow a morsel. So it had to do with food. Maybe you were choking or something. and he'd find that there were these similarities. And so he said, we have to clear those it stinks moments for the trauma. Well, I see that with allergies too.
What about like stuff like asthma? My friend
Yeah.
Mandy, who used to be my coach, she's my best friend, has
Yeah.
always struggled so much. And then what you find is really remarkable is that she passed it down to her children. So her daughter, who is in college right now, is struggling really bad with asthma. And Mandy has this fear just like me.
Okay. Okay. So yeah. So see, again, we got to look at the brain system, its body. So asthma can be a pathogen, right? It can be fungus, it can be protozoa. So we got to look at the physical piece. And then the
Right.
mental emotional piece is, yes, we have to hear clear trauma, and maybe it's generational. So when you clear the trauma and you clear the emotions, and then there's a handheld position you can actually do on the head. I'd have to look it up, but I know that it's pulling away from, I think it's the left side. And I did this on a little boy years ago, and he didn't have asthma anymore because his was psychosomatic. So you can, but you have to look at the physical, the mental, emotional, the spiritual, and then clear the energy field. It's the
And of course,
system.
it's like we only think about the physical because it's the only thing we can actually see. It's the easiest part.
Yeah, being able to breathe, underlying causes of diseases are miasms, and miasms are like residues from our ancestors. So in the case of asthma, it would be the TB miasm, right? Tuberculosis.
Wow.
And yet that doesn't mean you'll ever get tuberculosis. It just means there's a residue of that in your genes, in your body, in your energy field somewhere.
And it
And
can be triggered.
and it can be triggered. And then there's ways to work with that too. So like I have little tinctures for TB miasm. Yeah, homeopathics. They don't have to be sick. They don't have to suffer. You don't have to carry this stuff. You just have to know how to do it.
Right. And I mean, I think you're proof of that, right? And so that's what I love. You're like, I've been there.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been there, and I keep learning new things. And I keep, I mean,
Yeah.
everything isn't an uphill. I always teach my kids, I'm like, we used to climb this mountain in Taos. We called it Success Mountain. And we get to the top of the mountain, and there'd be all these aspen leaves. Aspens are these golden leaves that kind of shimmer, and they're just bright yellow. And we'd play in the leaves. Well, I would teach them, well, life isn't just climbing that success mountain. Yes, you're going to, learn new things and get better and better and learn and grow, but it still does more a little bit of a roller coaster kind of thing. It still goes up and down. You're going to have good days and bad days. We all do.
Yeah. You know what I love about the aspens are the aspen eyes, like the eyes.
Oh,
Next
yes.
time you see an aspen, look for the eyes. It's so remarkable.
Yes, it's just, and right now it's fall. I just took pictures yesterday of fall leaves. I'm like, oh, it's
They're
so
so
pretty.
pretty.
There's yellow
I
and
know.
orange and red.
You keep talking about a demonstration, so I'm
Yeah.
curious, to see how, I mean, how are you liking working like, you know, um, in distance? I mean, do you find that
Oh,
it just as powerful, just as successful?
yes, absolutely. And sometimes more so.
Yeah.
I mean, I like in person too, but so I had Albuquerque Natural Health Center for, I guess, 20 years. And then I moved online about 8 or 9 years ago. And so I was doing like a
Okay.
combination of both.
So you were already familiar with the online thing before COVID?
I was familiar before COVID, and I had started doing my in-person events, so I was doing events, and I loved that too. And I still do like an in-person event every year. We do a big retreat in the fall. So
Oh,
I still
nice.
really do love that. But I have a whole group of people that I'm teaching my system to. So I have certified coaches now who can do what I'm doing. And yeah, so here's what we can do. So we were going to demonstrate something called a brain soul balancing, or I
Okay.
sometimes call it a soul tie box. We start with a goal or intention. And then we
Okay.
walk the goal down. And then I use an intuitive process to clear the trauma that got stuck in the brain or the soul.
Okay. I
So
actually
that's
have something I'm stuck on.
you're
So
stuck on. Okay, awesome. So what would I if I asked you this question, Shannon, I said, what would you like to have change or be different? What would you say?
I have a problem saying no. I have a problem asking for help. So
Oh,
in that in never asking for help and never saying no, my schedule is currently a little insane and I need space right now to get stuff I need done that I want to get done.
Okay. Okay. So
Does that make sense?
totally. So I create space to accomplish my tasks. I can say no and I can ask for help. Right? You want to be able to tell
The
yourself.
ask for help thing is a big thing, but that would help me make space, right? If I was the type of person that allowed help. I mean, because people even offer.
Yes. Okay. So here, let's put that word allow then. I create space to accomplish my tasks. I allow asking for help.
Or allow accepting help. That
Uh,
accepting help.
I allow accepting help.
So this is the declaration part, right? I'm
Mhm.
declaring,
Yeah,
what my
absolutely.
intentions are.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're writing your intentions. I'm using NLP questions. So if you were allowing accepting help and you're allowing asking for help and you're creating space to accomplish your tasks, what would you tell yourself then you're not telling yourself now?
That I control this already. However, I'm not.
So
Like I
I
have
can,
the ability to control this. This is in my control, but yet I am not controlling it.
so I have the ability to control, to
But I'm
control.
allowing everything else outside of me to control my day.
Okay. Oh, this
Yeah,
is
which is
really good. This is good. Your listeners are going to like this too. I tell myself I have the ability to control this, and you're allowing asking for help, and you're allow accepting help, and you're creating the space now to accomplish your tasks. Yes, it's recalling. What would you be recalling then you're not recalling now?
yeah. So that at one point in my life that I remember being overwhelmed, being a young mom and all that stuff, and
Mhm.
spiraling out of control.
Okay, so you're recalling the negatives. So here's what we want to do.
Mhm.
That's what we're going to have to clear. That's giving me a clue, right, about what has to be cleared here. Um, can you think back to a time where things were flowing? You had created some
Yes.
space.
hmm Shortly after that time, when I started to do mindfulness, practice mindfulness meditation on a daily basis every day.
Okay.
And also making space for myself when I would say, nope, this is my time. And I had boundaries around that.
Okay. So I recall practicing mindfulness and having boundaries.
Yes.
And so if you recalled practicing that mindfulness, having boundaries, you're able to control this, you're accepting help, you're creating this space, how would all that make you feel?
Blissful.
Great. Awesome. Okay. I feel blissful. Let's get you to blissful today. What a great word. Hey, if you were feeling blissful and all this is happening, you're recalling this, practicing mindfulness, you're having these boundaries, you're accepting help, you're creating this space. Who would you be honoring fully then? You're not honoring fully now.
Me.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes, yes. Women have to learn this. Mommies don't do this enough, right?
Well, it used to be mommy. Now it's called sense of soul.
Okay, now it's yeah, now it's busy with business.
This is my new baby.
Uh-huh. I understand. It's so typical though. So let's create. So what I do, it's a really scratch copy. Some of you are on audio, you can't see this, but basically it's a box and I wrote those intentions down. And I drew a box and I put the bottom line in the box. Okay. You're blissful, honoring yourself, creating space, accepting help. People are asking to help you and you're saying no. So we've got to turn that around. Right. So then we say, okay, who or what is blocking Shanna from this? And I get 3 strings. I muscle test like this. So instead of my arm, I use my finger. So I'm going to talk to my hand all day long. I test everything.
Okay.
And so I draw 3 strings and I say, hey, okay, what's going on here? Let's clear it. So this is a male or a female. There's a female in your field. Is it you? Is it someone else? Someone else? Is it a family member? Yep. Is it a daughter? Yep. You have a daughter in your field. Give me like first names of your kids.
So I have Drew, Lindsay, Ethan, Kensley.
Okay. So which
All adults except for Kensley. She's
Kensley.
11.
Is this Kensley? Is this, I think this is Kensley. So is this, now here's what it can be. It can be something between you and Kensley, or it can be Kensley's energy in your field. Your mom, she's 11, right? So let's just find out. So is this something between you and Kensley? Yes. Is it just her? No. You might already know something. Do you know something? Yeah. Okay.
Oh, that's good.
Okay. Something coming up? Yeah. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. I have cheat sheets of words. So Shanna, it's the power of the spoken word of the truth sets us free. Okay. And it may bring some emotional stuff up, and it's okay, because what will happen is we'll clear it and then I'll bring you back up.
Okay.
Is it A or B? It's in B. I got possessive and unprotected.
I'm very protective of Kensley.
Okay. Is she the one who's on the spectrum?
It's not the one.
Okay. Possessive, unprotected, self-destructive.
Yes.
A, B, C, D, 1, 2. Burdened. Now, these could be your emotions or her emotions or both. And sometimes when I do this, it also helps the other person. Protected, self-destructive, burdened, and overwhelmed. Is there another word I need to name? No. Here's how we clear it. We say, was that a liar, thief, or fraud? And I get thief. Then we say, what did that do? Did it kill, steal, or destroy? And these came from John 10:10 in the Bible, these words. And so it's still your hope, your freedom, your comfort. So it's like we're getting back a level of hope. It's like we're reclaiming freedom, reclaiming a level of comfort, clarity.
Well, I feel like my face has a fever at the moment.
Okay. Tenacity and wellness. Is there another word I need to say? Yes. Is it A through M, M through Z, M, N, O, O? Optimism? No. Openness? Openness. So I'm just going to say a quick clearing statement. This is called access consciousness. So I did make this up. It's another body of energy work. So I'm going to say I destroy and uncreate any judgments, assumptions, projections, conclusions, decisions about the situation with Kensley or anything in her field or your field that's affecting you being blissful, honoring yourself, creating that space and accepting good and bad, right and wrong, pot and pock, online shorts, boys and beyonds. And then we're just going to tap the bottom of your foot. So we're just going to take an open hand, doesn't matter which foot, just kind of hit, even with your shoe on, just whack it. Okay, good. Okay. And so as we go around the strings, you should feel like a little bit lighter and lighter. Okay. And you may not right away. I don't know.
Well, the heat moved out of my head, so that's good.
Okay. Okay, good. Yeah. And then we can see it in your face too. So this next one is a male, female, or a situation. It's a situation. Is it recent or old? It's an old situation. Which one of these is it affecting? This is allowing you. It's a situation, a core issue that has to do with accepting and allowing help. So let's find out what that is. So is this when you were a kid? Yes. Were you age 0 through 5? Yes. Were you 1, 2, 3? You were age 3. So were you age 3 with mom or age 3 with dad? I think it's with mom. What's mom's first name?
Kathy.
Kathy. So age 3 with mom. So is this mom stuff in your field?
So I always felt like, I always thought when I was a child, I thought it was always me. You know, what did I do? What did I do? How did I make? So what can I do to make her happy? You know,
Yeah,
I still
absolutely.
do that for her. I mean,
Okay.
in a way, healthy, but I mean, I do have to take care of her, quite, you know, because my dad died,
How old were you when your dad passed?
40.
So this is important. So I get PTSD and guilt. So we always have to clear those places where we were made to feel guilty for something we didn't do. So
Mm.
you took on your
All of that.
mom's pain because you were 3. And you, like you
Mhm.
said, you didn't want her to feel how she felt. So you took that energy on. That's the beginning of you not being able to set boundaries. And
Mhm.
it's not your stuff. It's literally her stuff, right?
Yeah.
Guilt, PTSD, heartache. You have such a beautiful energy. Wow.
Thank you.
After we clear this, you're going to feel stronger a little bit. And sometimes it's like this much, like a tiny, like little bit,
Yeah.
but you've got to stand in your own power in a different way.
Mm.
Okay. Do you have a memory of when you were kind of taking on some of mom's stuff and taking care of her or
Oh,
feeling
yeah.
badly for her?
I was about 11. And I mean, I mean, at 11, I had to learn how to drive on the way to Louisiana, you know, because we lived here and I would have to navigate the maps and everything to get us to Louisiana. So I got us there every year we'd go. And there was one time I was mad at her. You know, there must have been some sort of argument and I refused to help her.
Okay.
And boy, was she mad. And I think she was mad at me the entire trip. And I remember I stayed with my aunt. I didn't even stay with her. Well, when we were there. Yeah.
Okay. So let's,
But it was a big deal for me because she ended up going like 300 miles away because I refused to help her.
oh, okay. 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 Here's what I see. There's stuff that happens, age 0 through 10. So, sometimes we're clearing womb stuff, and
Yeah.
sometimes there's, generations back. But the typical ages are 6, 11, and 42.
Whoa.
Okay. And this was age 11 for you, and we also just cleared your daughter who is 11 now.
11.
Right. So see, there's sometimes these little synchronicity pattern things. So there's always correlations here. So that situation with mom at 11 where you had to learn to drive, the energy in the field is constricted, powerless, unprotected. Were there entities in the field? 1, 2. There's 2 entities in the field. Are they still around you now? Yep. Let's find them. Okay. So the energy in the field was martyr complex, and we just have to
Mhm.
clear it. The other one was manipulative.
Mhm.
Here's how this relates. You were trying to stand in your power by saying,
Mhm.
I'm not going to drive and I'm not going to, you got to do it yourself kind of thing.
It's the first
Right?
time I ever did.
Yeah. And then what you noticed was you got lost. So now your subconscious brain is saying, that didn't work. I guess I can't stand in my power. And right now you're trying to take back your power and go, I can ask for help. I can allow it. I can accept it. Right. So we have to clear. And I'm sorry, I'm going to swear here because this is just the shit in the field.
I'm
It's the
blown
field.
away.
Yeah. We all are affected by these things that are in the field from way back when. And they're little things like this, but they're like bigger than little. I don't know how to explain
So
it.
this makes sense to me.
Doesn't it make sense to you? Yeah. Yeah. So like you want your whole goal is to create space and stand in your power and be able to say no, right? And
I've
accept help.
never I never even thought about that memory.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
See
So
that?
and I
Sometimes
keep getting words of unprotected too, And then the other thing that I see are these entities of manipulation and martyr complex that came from that time period.
I know
So
why, the martyr. Because I wanted to be just like my aunt. I wanted to be just like my mama because they were selfless. Selfless. At that time, that's when I made that agreement.
right. So
I wanted
that's
to
why
be
you went and
just
stayed
like
with
them.
your aunt. Yeah. Yeah. So see, this stole your trust, your spirituality, your comfort to have, your hope, your energy. And then we have to clear the manipulation in the martyr complex that's still playing a song in the field. So something in Shanna's field right now, yes. Is it in your mom's field? Yes. Do I have permission to release it from you? Yes. Do I have permission to release it from mom? No. Your mom might still hold on to these, I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah.
So, but manipulation and martyr complex is no longer allowed anywhere in your physical body, your mental body, your emotional body, your spiritual body. It must leave now. If it's any kind of connection or wormhole or portal between you and mom, it must go now and go to the light. So get out now in the name of God, the name of Jesus, the name of your higher power. We command you to go now. Leave now. You must leave Shanna now. Rakma! Awesome.
My whole body, my hands are still at the very tips now. Tingly.
Cone your fingers like this with your right hand, like make a little wand. Tap your belly button 8 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then I'm going to do some codes down your left leg. 2, 3, love. 5, 3, forgiveness. 6, 5, choice. 9, 2, freedom. 4, 2, greater love. Are you seeing a picture in your mind, Shanna, of that time? Do you see the car? Or do you see you getting mad? Or you
Yes.
staying with your aunt?
Every time you say that, I am.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I was on the road. I just saw a
Okay.
road
What?
in the dark. Yeah.
Okay. So the picture that you see in your mind, we want to clear that from those spaces in the brain. Okay. So this is called EMDR. So I want you to bring up like the couple pictures that you see of that time, the dark road, staying with your aunt instead of your mom, or, you know, whatever you see. Bring it up like a little movie script. And then I'm going to have you keep your head straight, but you're going to watch my fingers with your peripheral vision. So it's like your eyes are going to kind of like follow my fingers.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm going to go side to side, up and down, and then kind of to the side and down. And then we're going to make a circle. Okay. While you see that little image in your mind.
Okay. I got
It'll
it.
release it from the subconscious space of the brain there. Okay. Then look up. Then look down. Look to the right side of the floor and down. Kind of angle your eyes to the right and down. And then to the left and down. And then let's come back to center. And then make a circle with your eyes like you're circling a clock. And the other way. Good job. Good work. Is it a little fuzzier or like hazy?
It's far away from me.
Far away. Good. Awesome. So we just cleared that. That's going to help you a lot. Excellent. Okay.
And I just kept hearing, you are safe. You are safe.
Oh, good. Good. You know, because feeling safe is part of healing, and feeling safe is also part of that allergy question you asked. Even asthma, right? We have allergies. We don't feel safe. There's those it stinks moments. I didn't feel safe either. I wore a mask. I was chemically sensitive. I was allergic to everything from pesticides to herbicides to perfume to smells. I could smell a gas leak a mile away. I mean, I had like the nose like in the movie Roxanne.
I
So
love that movie.
so I wore like this. I had a lot of fear, a lot of fear. I didn't feel safe, and so
Yeah.
I had to clear all those blocks that didn't make me feel safe. And so and it's hugely important for everyone. And like for you that we just demonstrated here.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That's the releasing part. Now we want to like reboot your brain with what you want to have happen going forward, right? Creating
Yeah.
this space so you can accomplish the things you want. So here's how we do that. I have you say these intentions, okay? And I muscle test them, and they should bring up stress. So think of it kind of like school. We're doing a pre-test, and then I'm going to educate your energy field with codes, with numbers. Numbers is the universal language. And these came from my teacher, Dorothy. Like I always said Dorothy was the most connected to God person I ever met, because she knew the Bible both as a physics book and a spiritual book, the sacred geometry piece.
Yeah.
And it's just high level work. And then I'm going to do these codes to educate you. And then we retest, and then we lock it in. So pre-test, educate, post-test. It's like taking the multiplication fact test. Okay. So say, I create space to accomplish my tasks.
I create space to accomplish my tasks.
Awesome. I allow asking for help.
Ooh, nothing came out. I allow asking for help.
Oh, this is good. I allow accepting help.
I allow accepting help.
Say, this is easy.
This is easy.
Good. I tell myself I have the ability to control this.
I tell myself I have the ability to control this.
I recall practicing mindfulness.
I recall practicing mindfulness
And having boundaries.
and having boundaries.
I feel blissful.
I feel blissful.
I honor myself.
I honor myself.
Nice. Okay, so you're going to hear me say some codes. Okay, so I'm going down your left leg. These clear stress. So 2, 3, love. 5, 3, forgiveness. 6, 5, choice. 9, 2, freedom. 4, 2, greater love. Then we're going to come down your front. 4, 2. I think I'll have you say these. Say, I have positive self-worth.
I have positive self-worth.
2, 2. Say, I choose to succeed.
I choose to succeed.
4, 4. I choose to live in joy.
I choose to live in joy.
And 6, 2. I choose to live by the higher laws.
I choose to live by the higher laws.
Good job. And then I'm going to do 1, 4, 7 on your left, like hip on the back side. Then I'm going to have you look at my X. 4, 5, 9, 6, 9, 6, 8, 6, 6, 8, 3 to 9, 26 complete cycles, 5,859 times. 2 to 8, 23 complete cycles, 2,623 times. 3, 7, 5, 3, 7, 7. That's the self ring and the digestion ring. They're the rings that go around the brain. You have an energy field around your brain. I'm rebalancing them. Okay, 4, 5, 8, 6, 4, 6, 9, 4, 6, 7, releasing trauma. 10, 5, 7, 8, 2, 8, 7, 7, 5, and the shock. 1, 2, 3, placing with peace. 5, 2. 5 to 11, 37 complete cycles, 87,357 times. 2 to 8, 24, 32 times. 4, 2, 2, 2, 4, 4, 6, 2, 6, 7, 6, 7, 6, 7, 6, 7, 6, 7. I know it looks kind of funny. Did you feel the wind on Zoom?
I definitely felt like I had possibly a kick from a baby in my lower left side. I'm like, I know I can't have children anymore, but that was a little like interesting, very local to that specific area. Weird.
Wow. See, well, you know what? That's the sacral chakra, right? Is our power center. It's the woman's power center.
And my body is fuzzy right now again, from like my knees all the way up, like to my hands.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're rebooting and rewiring your energetic field in your brain. So those codes, and we're going to lock it in right now. So I'm going to have you say them again, and then we're going to lock it. Okay. We
Lock
don't
it
want
in.
to forget to lock it in. Yes. So say, I create space to accomplish my tasks.
I create space to accomplish my tasks.
Excellent. I allow asking for help.
I allow asking for help.
Yay. I allow accepting help.
I allow accepting help.
And you're strong now. Say, this is easy.
This is easy.
Good job. I tell myself I have the ability to control this.
I tell myself I have the ability to control this.
Excellent. I recall practicing mindfulness
I recall practicing mindfulness
and having good boundaries.
and having good boundaries.
I feel blissful
I feel blissful
and I honor myself.
and I honor myself.
Nice. Beautiful, Shanna. So we're going to lock it in. The way we do that is we clasp our hands together and put them above your head. And if I was with you, I would try to pull them down and you would just kind of stay strong.
I'm strong. They feel
Okay.
solid.
Okay, good. And then we're going to cone our fingers on our right hand. And we're going to make a circle and we're going to say 2-2.
2-2.
I choose to succeed.
I choose to succeed.
And then we're going to tap your belly button 8 times. And that locks in those intentions, those goals.
Oh my
How you feeling?
gosh, thank you.
You're welcome.
I
You're
feel
welcome.
great.
You're glowing. I know. Yeah,
I have
we
so much
cleared the
appreciation.
stuff holding you back from these goals. I
Oh
think
my
your mantra
gosh.
should be, I feel blissful and I honor myself. Like, you need to walk around the house and just say that all day long.
Oh my God. I'm going to go around and say, I thank Louise all day long. Oh, thank you so much.
You're
My
welcome.
God.
When I work on like you right here and people are listening, similar things or different things will come up as sort of the strings, right? The problems. And it
Yeah.
will clear them too.
I was thinking that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It will clear them too.
Wow.
So that's the coolest part. Yeah.
Wow.
And then also find out, like, you're going to process for another couple weeks. So I'm going to give you some homework. Can I do that?
Okay. Yeah.
It's something called Mind Gems, and there are 12 little exercises that balance the brain rings. And they're just a freebie on my website. So they take only 4 minutes to do. So if you want to
Okay.
get back into like mindfulness practice and you don't have an
Yeah.
hour to meditate or something, these are just a really great tool. I do them every morning and every night. So you'll switch. Like number 2 is present time, then you switch. Number 3 clears fear
Okay.
and switches on the brain. Your cross and touch back here, then switch.
Okay.
So
Then you switch your hands. Okay.
then you switch your hands, and most of them are like that. And so we want to give that to your listeners too, and also the opportunity to have a discovery, a brain soul assessment, we call it, so I can learn about them and find out if I can help them or I know somebody who can.
That was really, truly amazing.
I'm so
Mhm.
grateful. I'm so grateful. Your gift has to get out there in the world. And if you don't have the space and you're not allowing the help, it's hard for that to happen too. So we have to clear the blocks for all of our amazing people out there like yourself, Shanna, who do what they want to do because of some of these old childhood wounds or traumas.
Did not even ever think about that moment. That was a big moment that I recall today
Yeah.
and released.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
and it was a core issue for you to stand in your power.
And how divine did you call it through my daughter?
Because I go in the energy
That was
field.
amazing.
Yeah, you know what? I just want you all to know you can learn this too. Now it takes a little time, but you guys can learn the brain system too. And then I have coaches and people who work with me that could do the same thing I did. Where they can go in the energy field and they test, hey, what's the issue? Who is it with? Is it a situation? Is it a person? Is it a place? And then they can nail it like this. And then I taught them this process, then they clear it. And so there's all these cool little synchronicities that happen. And, if you really ask a good question, so the other thing I would say is learn to ask good questions. All of us. Like the intuition increases when you can ask yourself good questions.
it was the questions, but it really was multidimensional.
Yes.
I mean, all of it at the same time was happening.
Yes.
Yeah, pretty amazing.
Yes. Yes. That's how we change the brain. That's why people can meditate for years and they're still going to have the same problem.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Just
I'm not against meditation. I'm a meditator too, but I'm just saying that we have to clear the brain and the soul for it to, and this is faster. Why you can take the long way or the short way,
Yeah. Thank
Well,
you.
you do a
Thank you.
beautiful
Thank you.
job with your podcast, Sense of Soul. I'm just so impressed. You're doing great, great work out there, Shanna. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And I'd love to invite you to a group program in January.
So when is it?
It's
January?
January 17th is the master class, and then the class goes like the 24th through March 27th.
Okay. This was amazing. And so I would love to help promote this master class. And then if somebody does want to, learn your modality, can they find all this information on your website?
Yeah, you know what? We're building a new website called Brain Soul Success.
Okay.
It should be done pretty soon. It's going to have a lot more good stuff on it, and it feels like an up level. It feels better to me. But yeah, they can find that too, and they can find me, and I'm on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook and all those places as well. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. I
You're
appreciate
welcome.
every moment of this. So.
Oh, you're welcome. You're just absolutely beautiful. Would you like to be on my podcast? Do you do a lot of podcasts?
Yes, I would love to be on your podcast. Yes.
All right, let's do that too. So I'll have.
What is your podcast called?
It's Brain Soul Success Show. Yeah, and I'm going to change it though. It's going to be Take Your Power Back.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it's like that's just what I have to do, I think.
Yes, because that's what's right now in the field, everyone's consciousness. That's what's coming up.
Yeah, it's so true, isn't it? It's so time to do this. It's time to do the work.